the evolution of Giannis Antetokounmpo from a little-known prospect to an NBA champion.
Milwaukee, with 19.8 seconds left in Game 6 of the 2021 NBA Finals, Giannis Antetokounmpo walked down the floor alone, arms spread, smile wide. He implored the home crowd in Milwaukee to boost its exuberance even more. In a few short moments, he'd lead a celebration 50 years in the making, as the Bucks clinched the 2021 NBA title with a 105-98 victory. Few achievements can eclipse a 50-point masterpiece in a close-out win for a championship. With Antetokounmpo's performance on Tuesday night, he can now claim his rightful place in the pantheon of NBA legends. The Game 6 win exhibited the full breadth of his extraordinary game. For 42 minutes, he knifed through the Phoenix defense and assaulted the rim. A 6'11" force with innumerable skills, he controlled the glass like a center and handled the ball like a point guard. An elite All-NBA defender, he swatted away 5 shots and spent much of the fourth quarter on Chris Paul. And then there were the free throws. Those free throws. In the signature game of his career, he exorcised his most persistent demon, draining 17 of his 19 attempts from the line. For his efforts, just 3 weeks after suffering a hyperextension of his left knee, Antetokounmpo won Finals MVP. He joins Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon as the only players in NBA history to win that award, regular season MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. Most of all, the title culminates a remarkable journey that started in the modest Athens neighborhood of Sepolia as the child of Nigerian immigrants. A child whose first love was soccer, Antetokounmpo didn't start playing basketball until he was 12 years old and competed in Greece's second-tier league just one season before he landed in Milwaukee as the number 15 pick in the 2013 draft, an obscure prospect scouted by only a handful of NBA teams. 8 years later, he's a champion. Here are 8 stories that capture the astonishing rise of Giannis Antetokounmpo. An uneven season, but signs of limitless potential. Giannis Antetokounmpo was named to the 2013-2014 NBA All-Rookie Second Team after averaging 6.8 points and 4.4 rebounds. A few weeks after he concluded his rookie season with the Bucks in 2014, Antetokounmpo strolled through the buffet at Mandalay Bay filling up his plate. Las Vegas Summer League is one of the first rites of passage for incoming rookies and second-year players who still need some polishing, and the 19-year-old Antetokounmpo was getting additional reps after an uneven first season. With his impossibly long arms, Antetokounmpo reached over an entire row of side dishes and scooped up some mashed potatoes from the far side of the buffet, then folded his 6'10" frame into a table. The previous night against the Utah Jazz, Antetokounmpo assumed point guard duties for the Bucks Summer League squad. Though he appeared on only one of 100 Rookie of the Year ballots, a single third-place vote, Antetokounmpo tantalized the Bucks with flashes of jaw-dropping physical skills and the faint outlines of what could be a complete do-it-all star. In Vegas, incoming head coach Jason Kidd wanted to see what Antetokounmpo at point looked like in live action, and the results had delighted the Bucks staff all week. Against the wall of defenders he would come to encounter regularly in his prime, Antetokounmpo zipped passes to teammates at the rim, split defenders off high screens, hit step-back jumpers from distance, 6 for 16 on three-pointers, thank you, and downright bullied his way through that wall for easy dunks. As he grazed on a heaping plate of prime rib, corn on the cob, salad and a large bowl of fruit, Antetokounmpo chatted about his first foray into NBA competition, as well as the mundane taste of acclimating to life as a teenager in Milwaukee. Learning to drive was easier than anticipated, so much so that he insisted on taking his exam after only 2 lessons in a small model Ford. The magnitude and vulgarity of trash talk in the league far eclipsed anything he had heard in Europe, with Carmelo Anthony as his most aggressive assailant. And guarding Kevin Durant was unlike anything he had experienced in Greece's second-tier professional league the prior season. Antetokounmpo endured life without his family for the first few months of the season. His parents didn't have Greek passports, and the painstaking process of getting them over to the United States had weighed on him. Thanks to the good fortune of playing for a team owned by a senior U.S. Senator Herb Kohl, they finally emigrated in midwinter, a welcome comfort for a man with a filial devotion in a strange new city. Though they had aspirations of sneaking into the 2014 postseason as a number 7 or number 8 seed, the Bucks went into a tailspin as injuries piled up and ultimately finished the season with a league-worst 15-67 record. Initially, the shift to a rebuild worked in Antetokounmpo's favor, as he started 21 straight games in December and January. But before the All-Star break, head coach Larry Drew made a switch, moving a second-year wing named Chris Middleton into Antetokounmpo's place in the starting lineup. He still wowed with the occasional coast-to-coast, one-man break and his skills as a finisher, but Antetokounmpo wore down throughout the season, posting a worse field goal percentage each successive month. He finished 2013-2014 averaging 6.8 points, 4.4 rebounds and 1.9 assists in 24.6 minutes per game. As a consolation, Antetokounmpo aced the driver's test and mastered the science of driving in the Milwaukee winter. With his family in place and his English improving each day, he left for Athens soon after Summer League. In the coming weeks, he would put himself through a daily training regimen so strenuous that the Bucks' performance staff would beg him to scale it down. This young talent might have been nothing more than a curiosity to most of the NBA, but Milwaukee saw something that was potentially special. As a result, Antetokounmpo received 78 of 101 first-place votes en route to winning MVP. He would follow it up with an even more dominant regular season in 2019-20, repeating as MVP with 85 of 101 first-place votes while also claiming the Defensive Player of the Year award. After Antetokounmpo was named MVP, Bryant challenged him again. Quoting his tweet from nearly 2 years earlier, Bryant congratulated Antetokounmpo but concluded with "next up, championship." Tragically, Bryant's death in a helicopter crash in January 2020 means he isn't around to see Antetokounmpo rise to meet another one of his challenges. Still, there's no denying the role an MVP mentor played in Antetokounmpo's development. Like that takes no skill at all, Giannis hears from the haters. James Harden wasn't the first NBA player who scoffed at Antetokounmpo's skill set. Others, away from microphones, have dismissively discussed Antetokounmpo's relatively limited array of dribbling moves and mocked the two-time MVP's poor shooting touch. Harden, who felt Antetokounmpo had taken a couple of unnecessary verbal swipes at him, just wanted the world to hear the criticism. "I wish I could just be 7 feet and run and just dunk," Harden said during a one-on-one interview with ESPN's Rachel Nichols during the 2020 All-Star Weekend. "Like that takes no skill at all. I've got to actually learn how to play basketball and have skill, you know. I'll take that any day." Not coincidentally, nitpicking the depth of Antetokounmpo's bag quickly became a popular trend on NBA Twitter, particularly when the Bucks' offense bogged down during playoff losses. Indeed, Milwaukee has run into trouble when relying too much on Antetokounmpo to create in half-court sets, when defenses can pack the paint and dare him to play to his weaknesses. He's not Durant, a near 7-footer with guard skills who can score from all over the floor. Antetokounmpo arrived in the NBA as a skinny project. 8 years later, he's a muscular work in progress, regardless of his remarkable list of awards and accomplishments. "I feel like I always try to go to my strength, which is drive and getting downhill, getting in the paint, making the right pass and all that," Antetokounmpo said after his second 40-point double-double of these NBA Finals. "I feel like expanding the game. Sometimes you got to be okay with playing with your weaknesses a little bit. It might not be the strongest part of your game, but if you're able to expand it, it might be a 15-footer, a three-pointer or whatever the case might be, it makes you more effective down the line. But it's a gross oversimplification to attribute all of Antetokounmpo's effectiveness so far to sheer size and athleticism. If it's just about height and hops, why isn't, say, JaVale McGee a perennial MVP candidate? If Antetokounmpo couldn't handle the ball, he wouldn't have established himself as one of the most dangerous transition threats ever to play the game. His Eurostep ranks up there with Harden's step back as one of the league's most dangerous moves, and it's a finesse skill that requires incredible body control and timing to execute at breakneck speed. The 2020-2021 playoffs have also offered proof of Antetokounmpo's evolving game. Instead of constantly being the primary facilitator, he has been the screener in pick and rolls with Middleton or Drew Holiday. Or he's attacking mismatches by bullying smaller defenders on deep post-ups. Critics still might not reward Antetokounmpo with many style points. Perhaps Harden brought that subject up during his recent trip to Paris Fashion Week, when Antetokounmpo was busy starring in the NBA Finals. Champions, in more ways than one. It should have been a defining moment, but instead, it was promptly forgotten in the aftermath of another crushing playoff exit for Antetokounmpo and the Bucks. Because his basketball world is framed in stark, singular terms, winning and losing, the full portrait of Antetokounmpo's leadership during a perilous moment of social unrest last August in the NBA bubble wasn't properly chronicled. The extraordinary decision of the Bucks to stage a walkout after a white police officer shot Jacob Blake, who was blacked 7 times in the back in Kenosha, Wisconsin, was unprecedented. The anguish of Bucks veteran George Hill and disillusionment of Sterling Brown, a victim of racial profiling by the Milwaukee police, prompted Antetokounmpo to immediately throw his support behind his teammates and vote not to take the court. Their act of solidarity was cemented without input or consent from team owners, Commissioner Adam Silver or other NBA superstars. When the Bucks resumed play, they were eliminated by the Miami Heat with Antetokounmpo relegated to the sidelines because of an ankle sprain. Dismay over such failures often leads to emotional responses, see the Philadelphia 76ers, circa 2021, but Antetokounmpo refrained from pointing fingers. When asked if he would be requesting a trade during the offseason, he flatly replied, "That's not happening." It was his fervent wish, he explained, to continue to build a culture in Milwaukee that would yield success for many years. Many superstars before him have offered similar lip service, only to quietly maneuver behind the scenes to plot their exit. Antetokounmpo meant it. He signed an off-season extension and embraced his role as the face of the Deer District. Throughout the 2021 postseason run, as Milwaukee's fortunes dramatically rose and fell, he resolutely stood by Coach Budenholzer. When Holiday, who joined the Bucks for a hefty price as the designated X-Factor, struggled mightily, Antetokounmpo vociferously offered his unwavering support. Holiday responded with a two-way masterpiece in Game 5 of the Finals. There were several memorable snapshots during Milwaukee's title run. Antetokounmpo's outrageous block of DeAndre Ayton is the most delicious, but another that resonates is an animated Antetokounmpo imploring his teammates in a Game 2 huddle to play harder, play better and play together when the lackluster Bucks had fallen behind by double digits. They listened to him because he had exhibited each of the things that he asked of them. He passed on a role in Space Jam, A New Legacy, to focus on improving his game, eschewing countless endorsement opportunities to support the team, not individual success. As Antetokounmpo's game continues to blossom, so does his pedigree as a leader. It was nearly a year ago that the Bucks banded together for something that mattered so much more than the result of a basketball game. Perhaps the reward for that act of courage and conviction needed time to germinate. The champions for social justice are now NBA champions too. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.